I guess I'm a Canon user now. This video is about the just released Canon C50, but this is not your typical specs video or the camera comparison one. You can just go watch Gerald Don for that, or any of the many other channels out there who really truly dedicate to show you test footage and stuff like that. I think that's really valuable, but that's not what this is. This is a video for those who think, you know, I like the camera, but I don't want to follow the camera hype, the FOMO, and I don't know if I should listen to all of these guys. Okay, so this is for you, because I am a Sony user. Matter of fact, the video that you're watching right now was shot on an A7 IV. I have two A7 IV bodies in one of my backpacks over there, and those are my daily drives, or those have been up until now my daily drives. When it comes to social media content and anything that is on the go, really fast and going, especially if I need to do any photos at the same time or anything like that. So the other body that I use is the Komodo EOS, and you're probably starting to realize why I switched to the C50, because the Komodo EOS and the C50 has the one thing in common, which is the RF mount, which it's a Canon mount that Red adopted back when Red was not owned by Nikon, and now they are pushing for the EOS mount. We all know that, but in case you didn't know, now you know. So it's a little bit of a risky move for me to go that way, because it might not be a future-proof decision, meaning we don't know when Nikon will stop the support for the RF mount. But every time I decide to purchase a camera body, I try to make an informed decision based on what I need, and then future-proof myself with what the camera offers, not just necessarily everything else going on in the industry. Meaning, if tomorrow Nikon stops the support for any RF mount, I can still use my Komodo EOS as my main A-cam for any bigger project that requires that quality, but I will still use everything else that I have from the other cameras in their specific case scenarios. So why the C50? Well, there is a lot of good things about the C50, and I'm gonna try to mention some of them, especially the ones that I don't see a lot of people talk about, because you know, it's not just the open gate and all of that, which I think is a cool feature to have, but honestly, in my opinion, it's not a deal breaker. I digress a little bit, but just to touch on that point really quick, I do a lot of social media content. That's my main weekly workflow. And especially one of my clients is doing social media ads and TV ads at the same time. And I'm shooting those, I'm producing those by myself, right? So when I'm doing that, I need to be able to shoot 4K and zoom out a little bit so I can, you know, like reframe it and give myself the space for 9:16 cropping. And it's a pain. It's really hard because you really want that shot to look the way that you're framing it for the horizontal shot, but then when you're cropping it, you're destroying that image, right? It doesn't look, the composition nearly as good. And you just gotta really have to like learn to kill your darlings, or whatever the phrase says, right? And that's something us videographers struggle with, but you have to kind of like learn to do that a little bit in order to just get the project done, or get the shot done, because you're not going to be able to shoot once for vertical and then horizontal, because you have people acting on camera who are not actors. These are probably like employees from the business, and you know, it's all this time that is invested into it, so you don't want to take any more, you don't want to make it more painful than it needs to be for them. So in order for us to just, you know, we just go with whatever. But if you have a little more extra room in, you know, headroom and in the bottom as well, so you can reframe that image a little better, yes, it is helpful. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna be using that every day. And we'll see. My goal is to start using the C50 now every day, starting tomorrow, on Monday. So we'll see how that goes, and I will probably make another video after a couple of weeks just to like tell you guys what it is the day-to-day after like using it as part of my workflow coming from the Sony, which I think there is a lot of good things on the C50 that makes it a superior body, definitely a workhorse, worthy of being nicknamed the FS3 killer. I believe so. But at the same time, there are other things that I'm used to that Sony offers that just are better. And it's maybe they are better because I'm used to them, and it's like little things. For example, when I go to preview my footage on the Sony, I can see everything inside of my gallery or whatever media player, however you want to call that, like on the camera. But if I do that on the Canon, you might be happy to have that feature where you got the little drop down menu where you have to select the type of footage that you're trying to play back, and then you can only see it if you are on the proper mode for each category. Or if you want to preview the photos, you have to switch to the photo mode, and then you're able to preview the photos on the media player in the C50. And I believe it's the same thing for other Canon cameras. That's just one of the things. So it might be down to preference, it might be down to getting used to it, but those are like some of the little things that create friction when it comes to something like this, going from a different system to a new system. Is it better? Is it not better? I guess that's your decision there. And I'm not sure. I haven't tried it. Matter of fact, we can just try it right now. Let's see if I open this. Okay, it's on. So, but if I open this, okay, it stays on. And if I open this, it stays on. Okay, so that's good. It's good that they fix that, because I remember back when the R5C came out, because I am a Sony user primarily for the longest, but I have plenty of experience with the R5C and the C70. Back when the R5C came out, I remember if I opened the either the battery door or the camera, the SD card door, the camera will turn off. And that's something that is not really convenient, because sometimes you just want to, open that for some reason, or if it's not locking right, it might cause your camera to turn off. So I'm glad that's not the case here. All right, so before we talk about the things that I like about the camera, I'm just gonna say why I decided to go for it. The reason why I went for it is because whenever I decide to use the Komodo X for one of my bigger projects that required that camera, I was pairing it with the Sony a7 IV, and it did a good job. I treat the image, and you can really not tell which one is each. I mean, if you're an image expert, you probably can go down there and nitpick every detail about the camera. But I'm sure the average user, the viewer, is not going to realize what camera you're using. So that was just working fine. The problem with it is that you have E-mount lenses, and you have the E-mount body, and you have the RF mount with a different set of lenses. So at this point, I'm carrying a whole other bag just to bring the lenses for the Komodo, or vice versa. So if I can simplify that and have one less bag or briefcase or backpack that I have to bring, that would make my life easier. Beyond that point, having a more powerful cinema line camera that can also shoot pictures will be ideal for these kind of situations. So that's why I decided to go for the next step and in the upgrade, and just go for the C50. The ideal path for me was originally FX3, FX6, and then the two A7 IVs. That will give me a 4-camera setup from top of the line to the mid-range, which is the A7 IV, which I think they are not a mid-range camera. They are definitely above their weight class when it comes to video, because I will argue that you can shoot stuff on that camera and will look pretty much just like an FS3 if you do it right under the same circumstances, of course. But that was a path that I could have taken. The problem with that was that the top of the line, the FX3, it is a great camera, but it's old, and I don't see it getting any better in the near future, because what they offer on that camera is pretty much everything that they can possibly give you based on what Sony is just doing recently. And the other thing above that is R3D. I love the way that RED cameras look. I will argue that it's the best image out there besides something like a Arri Alexa. And it's just something that you can really not explain about the color science, that just looks better. I don't know if it's the skin tones, just the way the grass looks in any, pretty much anything that comes out of a RED camera, it's beautiful. And the peace of mind, which not much people talk about this, but the peace of mind of knowing that I can just look down on my screen, not even looking at my image on the monitor, just on the screen, looking at my light pulse and making sure that no pixels are getting either overexposed or underexposed. And just by using that tool, I can blindly shot anything, and I know I'm not gonna have any problem on post-production, because I can bring back the shadows, or I can raise up the ISO on post if I need to, or even the white balance if I have to make any changes afterwards. So that flexibility and the quality that you get out of it, just that character that has every image, is what makes it the best tool for anything that is not a rush, kind of like hustling, running and gunning job of like social media content or something like that. Anything that you have the time to set up and kind of like turn on, turn off, you're not gonna miss the shot because you don't have to be like waiting for a, you know, something. That camera, it's the best tool for the job. Of course, you want to have something as close as possible to that is also hybrid, that you can, you know, bring just one on your backpack if you have to, and that's what this camera is, the C50. If I can just grab one camera and go shoot whatever I need to shoot, out of all the cameras out there right now, I think I will choose this one, hands down. No matter what brand you're comparing it to, no matter what, you know, if it's the flagship or anything, I don't want the R5, that's too big. I want this camera right here, and probably not even like this. I put the top handle on because I wanted to show it to you guys and share my thoughts about it, but I would probably be using this camera without a top handle, just lens, the little receiver from the DJI mics, and pretty much that's it. Just like a pair of headphones that you can buy at Walgreens or a CVS, small headphones that fit on my pocket, not the big over-the-ear ones. I don't want to look like a videographer. I just want to make my job as easy as possible, especially if I'm climbing roofs with my camera strap over my shoulder. That's why I use these little things right here, because, you know, if I need to throw my camera on my shoulder, I just hook it on that, climb a ladder, do whatever I need to do up there, have my hands free, don't have all of this like banging around, don't need all of that. At the end of the day, all I need to do is just to make my life easier, not more complex by adding stuff to a rig that is not really you know, useful at the end of the day. So I think that covers it. Just to recap, the perfect big cam for my Komodo ads, and it's something that can stand its ground by itself with photo and video, but at the same time give me 4K 120, because that's kind of like a standard nowadays. I would not accept anything lower than that. The Sony cameras that I was using up until now do not have that. It's only 1080 120. And then the global shutter is another thing that it's like a must. Like if you're not gonna put the global shutter on a cinema camera or any camera nowadays, I think you're just being an asshole to your audience, because why wouldn't you? Correct me if I'm wrong, but if we have digital shutter, why electronic shutter, however you call it, why can't you just do like a software upgrade and switch that thing and tell the camera, hey, every time this guy switches from this mode to this mode or whatever, just double that, or whatever you want to do for the, depending on which number you use, if you have 180 or 360 or 90 or whatever shutter angle you choose. But it seems like a simple fix in my opinion. So that's why I don't understand why that we don't have it in more cameras. But it's super useful, and that's definitely one of the selling points. The fact that I can just switch with one shortcut, hit one button and switch between S and Q and go to 23 frames per second or 30 or whatever you want to shoot, it's great in my opinion. Even among Canon itself, I think they are really learning from the previous top handles in their lineup, and this one right here is the best one that I've seen so far. It's short, compact, rigid. It feels like it's built to not go anywhere. Like I can hold this and it's not gonna wiggle. What you're hearing is this thing right here banging on the side. So, it's got a little grippy bottom side here that makes it more comfortable for if you're holding it for longer periods of time. Has the little bump in the middle, so you have another contact point there, which is good. It can be a little front heavy because I don't have anything in the back. I'm sure that once you guys start rigging it up and putting your lovely B-mount batteries in the back, it's gonna be more balanced, so it's not gonna pull forward that much and makes it easier for you to hold it from the handle. In my opinion, the most important handle in a camera, and it has to be the side grip. It's a huge side grip coming from the A7 IV to this one. I can feel this one is a lot better. And if you recently had in your hands the Nikon ZR, if you had that in your hands recently, I would say this is like, I don't know, probably 80 times bigger than the Canon ZR. So yeah, that just gives you a peace of mind there as well. These wide and tight toggle here that you can just pull between, like make a zoom in or widen your shot. That's just great. The fact that you have that built into the camera with compatible lenses, of course. So not with this iris, it's not gonna do anything because it's a cinema lens. Having that feature right there, the 24-105 with this camera will be amazing. That will just be the killer combo, which I'm gonna get myself one of those as soon as the budget allows it, because we just went through this investment and a couple of other ones. And I'm not sponsored by anybody here. So Canon, if you're listening and you want to send me the 24-105 to test it out with this camera, I already have experience with that lens, and I can tell you I love it for the amount of times that I use it with the R5C and the C70. But trying it with this one now should be a whole other experience with this soon rocking. And then you have this lock right here for your recording button, so you cannot stop the recording. And also you have the wide and tight, so you can punch in and zoom out from your top handle as well. So that's just gonna be a super useful feature, especially if you don't wanna introduce shakiness into the shot, because sometimes you are right here, but then this movement right here introduces like slightly jitters because you're pretty much turning the lens. So even if you hold it, you're fighting that movement back. Also, the other thing is, if you use more than one camera body, sometimes some lenses zoom in on a different direction than others. So if you're zooming in, you forgot like, okay, which way am I zooming in? So that's like microseconds that you're losing from getting the actual shot if you're on an event or something like that. So eliminate all of that by just having this toggle right here, and you can literally look down at it, see that it says tight, T for tight and W for wide. So you can just boom, 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 boom right here. See? Boom, 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 right there. Or if you're right here, you're like, boom, 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 boom with this one. So it's one of the little things that everybody talks about open gate. Yeah, okay, cool, but let's talk about this, bro. Like, this is more important than open gate, in my opinion. It gives you more flexibility, and the fact that you have it on the top handle and the body itself, it's just amazing. You don't need to have the top handle to use the feature. That's just how good that is. And if you have the top handle and you don't have easy access to the trigger right here because you're rigging up your camera, it's a cinema camera, whatever, you still have access to it right here. True monitoring features for your audio, although nowadays you don't need to do that. I mean, who's monitoring audio anymore? What is that, right? Like the DJI Mic 2, that's like, you don't need to listen to your audio anymore. Still do, but really, you know that you should be okay 90% of the time. But when you need to check other levels, or if you have anything else connected to this top XLR cords here, you can monitor it right there. I have mine on manual, and we do have phantom power. This mic right here uses phantom power. We have 48 volts phantom power going to the mic. No issues, no problem. The battery, come on guys, they just upgraded the battery recently. So one of the main things that was holding me back when I was looking at the R5C as like the flagship, the perfect, what this camera was to me back then, the one thing that held me back was the battery life. With a Sony camera, I can shoot pretty much all day on one battery, unless I'm doing continuous recording. Of course, if I'm doing continuous recording, it will be probably like an hour or so, close to 2 hours, depending on what type of recording you're doing and if you're outside or inside, or if you have any monitors connected to it or not. But anyway, the bottom line is that the R5C will only last about 30 minutes tops. So that was no bueno. I mean, I guess you can carry 300 batteries with you all day if you want, or you can just bring a whole other camera, right? So that's the one thing that hold me back. And now figuring that not only we have a better camera from Canon now, but also compatible with the system, with the lens mount system that I was looking into, just investing fully into, we have a fixed new battery that provides a good amount of battery life for these cameras. Now we're talking about a whole different game, guys. Again, I'm a Sony user, and I truly believe that Sony was ahead of the game for the past 5 years at least. But Canon is champ now. I like to really point out the things that most people don't say because, I don't know, they're not cool, but whatever. You don't need a cage for this camera. That's it. That's so as simple as that. If you have like any necessity to put any accessories on this, you have a mounting point right here in the back of the handle. You have another mounting point on the top of the handle, which I will never use that anyway, but you have another mounting point on the side of the camera right here. Another mounting point on this side of the camera. And then of course you have your mounting points for the top, but that will be replaced with the handle if you end up using that. So in that sense, how many things do you really need to add to your camera? Is it like a monitor, like an external monitor? Maybe you can find the place. I mean, you have that shoe mount right there. I would probably use that for the receiver for my DJI mic. But you can probably attach your monitor here some kind of way, so that way it's like a little bit off to the side. However way, or don't use it with a monitor. I mean, I know I personally would prefer not to use it with a monitor for my use case, but if I need to, that's kind of like the way that I will go. 14 assignable buttons, and coming from the different system, even though I had some experience with Canon cameras, I really struggled finding the place for the scroll wheel and the top wheel and the real wheel here back around the mode number 6 button, and also the dial here in the back. Those are my 3 go-tos when it comes to like ISO, shutter, and then aperture here. So that's kind of the way I like it. But I couldn't find that on the settings. It took me a minute. Now it's all good and set up, but it was a little bit tricky to set up. The other thing I have is my peaking, my false colors, and then the mode selection here, because I don't need a third recording button. I mean, or fourth if you have the top handle. So I do have the recording here and in the front here in the bottom, but then this one right here, I switched that to the selection of the mode, either full frame or full frame 3x2, which open gate pretty much, that's what it means. So that way I can switch between those easily. And then on 11 right here, I have my S&Q switch toggle between S&Q and regular normal mode. So if I need to shoot slow motion, just hit this one, boom, start shooting. Need to go back to get some audio or whatever, boom, go here, keep going with my life. So that's pretty much that. And then another thing that I don't see a lot of people mentioning is this right here. I'm gonna take this out so you can see it better. Around the lens mount, you can see these screws, all 4 of them. Those are locking screws for whenever you need to use bigger PL lenses. You're gonna put an adapter here, and because most of those lenses are a little bit heavier, kind of like this one, you don't want all that stress to be on your mount like it is right now, because that can potentially deteriorate your mount and probably break it. If you have that on a, imagine you have that on a tripod and the lens is hanging all day, it can break, right? So instead of doing that, you secure the lens with those mounting points around it, so the strength is not in the mount, in the lens mount itself, but around it on those locking points. So that's a really neat feature to have. For those who need to use it, I will probably not use that in the next, I don't know, in the near future. I don't plan on getting any PL lenses, but you never know. Again, whenever I do an investment on gear, I select the gear that I think is gonna grow with me, not just the best thing for whatever, or the best thing that my favorite YouTuber is recommending. And if I ever want to go for some PL lenses, I know that I have the safety of using a tool that is designed for that as well. But it's also the perfect tool for my use case right now, because I can literally go like this, put that aside, and this is my daily drive now. It's a camera that it's not only a workhorse, but it's also compatible with my bigger main camera, the Komodo Edge. So that way, if I need to put them side by side, I can. And if I need to grab one that can do it all, I also can. So this is my new camera for everything, and we'll see how it goes. I guess I'm a Canon user now. Does that mean I should get a hat? Like a cowboy hat?